Thank you to be part of this second part of the annual meeting that will be more focused on CoopCycle. We will have two intense days. The first one is about governance and a small update also on what we did this year. We have a starting lectures about some local projects from the Danish side and also from the Sweden side. And I will let Sebastian to talk about this.
Thanks. I'll just start with some. I'll start with some housekeeping and a little intro to the space. So welcome to Folkets Hus, the People's House. I think our tour inspired me to do a little bit of research last night to brush up on my local history. But we're here in Nørrebro in an old working class district that used to be known as the Black Square. And the Black Square was like the most densely populated slum in Copenhagen up until the 1960s, where there was a series of clearances of these really tightly packed buildings that you can see depicted on the wall here, with these narrow alleyways, like not much running water, etc. And in the 60s, the municipality started the sanitation process of demolishing a lot of these old 19th century workers' housing. And the result was big gaping holes in the cityscape. So large empty spaces, and the locals were no fools. They knew what that meant was coming, which was essentially, gentrification. So they seized the opportunity to claim those empty spaces, to occupy not necessarily buildings, but the empty space that suddenly gave space for the kids to play, for the community to meet. So they established, the local residents established the People's Park, which is still here today. And they defended the People's Park from development, from speculative construction. And of course, when you have a People's Park, you also need a People's House. So in 1971, there was a concerted squatters movement, and they called it the September Offensive, which sounds super badass and militant. And during the September Offensive, which sounds so extreme, they occupied this house, and they occupied dozens of buildings in all of Copenhagen, and they occupied Christiania in September 71. And Christiania is a free town that still exists today. You probably know it. And in the 90s, there was another effort by the municipality to demolish this house and create some non-affordable housing, which they also resisted and defended the space. And here we are today. And it still exists as a space where people like us can gather and use the space for community building. So on this floor, there is only one toilet. Down here on the left, there's also a public toilet just here behind this playground. And during the break time, I'll make sure that the door downstairs is unlocked so we can also access the toilet down there when we're all moving around. I think that's it for the space. We've got Amalia and Mikkel are cooking for us today and tomorrow, lunch and dinner. So today, lunch will also be provided. and we can, when the time comes, we can eat here in this space. We can spread out in the park and find a nice spot for lunch, and then we'll have a nice communal couple meals together. And that's it for the housekeeping and stuff. Any questions on that kind of front? Alexia?
So, what situation there is now? This is public, so it's all from someone, there is a collective, or...
Yeah, so from what I gather, since the 90s, there's been, this is, the space became its own legal entity and recognized, by the municipality, and they formed a association which pays like a symbolic rent to the municipality or something like this for water and heat and stuff like this. And there's a autonomous bestyrelse, maybe Nikolai knows the word, bestyrelse, but a board or something of people who are responsible for the upkeep and for the practical logistics of the house, who are volunteers.
So it is working. People use it and
Yeah.
they don't have to defend anything.
No.
They
Yeah.
don't defend it.
Yes. Well established and protected. Yes. Yeah. After a long struggle. Yeah. Yeah. So we've had a couple of amazing and quite intensive days of amazing discussions and workshops and lectures. So I wanted to start relatively slowly and broaden the context from a local one to a more Nordic context, because I know that the vast majority of CoopCycle membership is Southern European based for the most part. So we've got Nikolai from NBD, who's going to join us up here, and who you probably already know, and two special guests from across the pond, from our sibling city Malmö, across the water. We have Tiago and Julia from Alternativa Cooperativism, and we're going to sit down here and talk a little bit about how we, in a kind of Nordic context, run our co-ops and organize ourselves. And hopefully I can put the mic on the table, right?
I guess it works. Yeah. Oh wow, that's really bright. Let's see. So I'm gonna say this because the light line.
Check the levels. Yeah, the best to have it like here,
Yeah.
not
Okay.
so far.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have had like one-on-one chats about Buiksplassen, which is the co-op that I'm a member of. But I don't think I've had a proper chance to kind of should I poursuivre l'appel or should I quitter maintenant? Êtes-vous toujours là? Oui, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, I got it.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, because it's on the other.
You've just left
That's
fresh.
good.
So, BX is a Copenhagen bike messenger co-op that was founded in 2012 by 3 super experienced and well-established bike couriers who realized that the kind of large international kind of corporate courier companies that they had been working for, didn't represent the needs and the kind of didn't have the same knowledge as the actual couriers themselves, right? So they struck out on their own and formed Buiksplassen in 2012. And we've steadily grown over the 13 years to a somewhat stable group of currently 40-ish people. 2 years ago, the size of the cooperative grew to around 60 people, which was kind of, most of us felt was kind of too many individuals and like kind of an unsustainable amount. There was like a lack of cohesion and a lack of community feeling. But I think now we've reached a kind of a sweet spot of 40-ish. And back in around 2020, we began to shift our focus from, or we began to realize that what was a kind of co-ownership model was extremely difficult to maintain with a fluctuating group of couriers. So we restructured, or like radically restructured the day-to-day running of the company. We created new statutes and began a process of true cooperativization, and so moving from like a co-ownership model to a zero ownership model, where we're the first company in Denmark to transition from being a co-owned company to a association, a self-owned association that has a board whose responsibility it is to upkeep the running of the company, essentially. So this is an ongoing process, but right now we are just finalizing this transition into this association non-ownership model. And then what this means in practice is that we have these independent work groups that work with, finance or marketing or HR related issues, and joining these work groups is based on your drive, your desire, your skill set, and your individual engagement. So the work groups vary from 3 or 4 members to up to 15 members, maybe, with plenty of overlap where people move around in between the work groups. They maybe occupy they work within a couple of work groups at the same time. They maybe work within finance and within marketing, or they do some invoicing on a certain day, and they do some cooking shifts on another day, etc. So a kind of a fluid work group structure. And each work group has a representative that sits on the board, and there's a formal board meeting at a fixed time on a fixed day of the week, where the work groups can keep each other abreast of what is going on in the other work groups. So that's the basics of our co-op. And maybe worth mentioning is that the kind of larger scale and more long-term decisions about future goals is always taken at our General Assembly, and it's very similar to this kind of context, but it's usually like a one-day GA where we will take discussion time, we'll have votes on new statutes or new initiatives that have a significant impact on the company in a more kind of long-term scope. So that's a little brief BX introduction. Does anyone have any immediate clarifying questions about that? Raf?
How do you act? Who is a member of a work group, and how do you act? Who is member of the board?
So when when we have the General Assembly, we formalize a voting process where we, in the run-up to the GA, we will nominate individuals as the kind of representatives of the work groups, the heads of the work groups, who form the board. So that's the kind of formal leadership role, if you will. And it's their individual responsibility to make sure that the work group is fulfilling its basic functions, whether that means delegating tasks, whether that means maybe doing some of those tasks yourself. And in terms of becoming a member of the work group, that's a super fluid process where you, for example, if you want to join the dispatch work group, you are always invited to start by sitting in on dispatch work group meetings, sitting in on dispatch shifts, looking over the shoulder of your colleague while they're doing a co-dispatch shift, getting a feel for it on the job, so to speak. Does that answer your question? And Jerome had a question as well.
Typical collective question, 43 members, how many of those in working groups that are individually in a working group, not doubling up on several working groups?
Right. So, of the 43 members, I would say that 30 are active, meaningfully active, significantly active in one of these work groups. You also have your 10 to 15 who are, on the bike and riding, and that's the end of the story,
So you sort of explained that at some point, 60 people, you all felt that it was much, but also I guess there was enough work. Is Bouwexpressen open to help other collective if at some point there's many careers, many jobs that can be done, and maybe 35 people you can accept more clients? Is there something not process, but a thought about, you want to try something, we can help you and all that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I imagine that if there was some external or even internal desire to form a separate co-op, then there would definitely be contexts where that would be mutually beneficial because this period of 60 members is unsustainable internally, and also unable to keep up with client demand, right? And I think we had a problem with not knowing when to say no, which is a problem that a lot of successful co-ops reach, and you lose the ability to control the kind of workflow. But that would require some kind of initiative or desire to start another co-op. And Aubin has a question.
On the 35 or 43 members actually in Bouwexpressen, what is are you all full-time position, or is it people that are for 10 hours a week, or what the percentage or
Yeah, so the in Denmark, full-time means 37.5 hours a week contract, and I don't think there's anyone in Bouwexpressen that has a contract that, although some of us do work that many hours, we're usually contracted for let's say between 20 and 30 hours a week, 10 to 30, depending on individual availability, individual requests or needs. Some people study while they're also working. Some people have other projects, other occupations, etc. Question back there.
So following up on that, you say most people are working 20 to 30 hours. So how much of this kind of organizational work, the working groups and that stuff, ends up being unpaid as opposed to paid?
Yeah, so like unpaid versus paid work. I think this kind of 2019 to 2020 era was maybe like a point where we tried to change like the kind of culture around unpaid work and established a kind of what would you call it? Zero tolerance? No, a really conscious effort to eradicate all forms of unpaid work. And it's something that came up yesterday, right? About like definition of, you know, like labor, right? Like there was a really good point about like the kind of emotional labor that you do, like when you decompress after your shift, or like when you empty your bag, as Le Corserie call it. And so of course there is still a degree of unpaid work, but the principle is that you log every single minute that you work, whether it's invoicing or whether it's writing, of course, or whether it's, you know, any tasks that you fulfill related to the co-op.
Hello. So yesterday, Clara, she explained us more or less how one of these work groups is working inside itself. So my question is, this work group, it's in charge of all the maybe, how to say it? I changed the question. Is by expressing in itself, so the big one with all the work group inside, do you have some kind of good conduct or best practice manifest or I don't know, maybe we always start our assembly with a round of how do you feel. But my question is, a part of this work group, the big cooperative works like that in the same way, more or less?
Yeah.
So caring and try to do the best practice?
Yeah, for sure. And like that's a really good example of like the kind of check-in round is like something that I think all the work groups have adopted for like face-to-face meetings, but some work groups don't ever have a host a meeting, you know. They'll coordinate internally, you know, by other means, but it's super fluid and loose, like how and constantly changing depending on the members of that work group, like, and how they like to work with each other and independently. But then I want to move on to introduce our colleagues from Malmö, from Cooperativism, who can maybe give a similar little background to their co-op across the world. So,
Hi everyone, I'm Giulia and super excited to be here. Thank you so much for giving us a chance to talk about our project, which is of a much different scale than Byexpressen. We come from Malmö, a city of about 600,000 people, the third largest city in Sweden, but quite small comparatively. So the context is very different from a capital like Copenhagen or Stockholm. We were founded in 2018 by Tiago and 2 more people. So I'm very happy he's here with me because I'm part of a second generation of couriers. And the COP was born out of the ashes of an older cooperative called COS, which Tiago was part of. So a lot of the, let's say, infrastructure like bicycles and customers came from that context and was then built further on. We have been quite a lot of members over the 7 years of our existence, about 33 people. And it's always been an attempt to build up the co-op to make it more sustainable over time. That is still ongoing. So we are currently 4 members, 2 of whom are, 6 members, 2 of whom are inactive, which means that they take part in the general yearly meeting and they have some degree of decision making on the processes that don't really affect the day-to-day operations. But 4 active members, and none of us are working full time. So everyone needs to have some other job on the side in order to make it work. Yeah, do you want to add something about that? I moved quite fast, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I can go over the beginning, I guess. Julia pretty much summed up how it works. And I guess from the beginning, the idea was, I guess one good thing to mention as well, we all came from the food delivery background. So the people who started CQS and the people who started AK afterwards all came from Foodora. Which I guess influences us even on a subconscious level. There was a period where we were increasingly characterized as like Malmö's answer to the gig economy, but we resisted this. We got quite annoyed by being held up as an example of like, you know, this is an answer, this is like the resistance. It's like, no, we just want to be a courier company. That we come from there, and a lot of the problems that we try and solve are problems that we felt when we worked there, but it doesn't mean that we're trying to, you know, solve that problem necessarily. But what we did do is start entirely horizontally, right? So as horizontal as we can be, so everyone is paid the same. That was one of the core principles. Decision making is made by everybody at meetings.
Membership fee is very low.
Yeah, membership fee is low, so it's entirely accessible to anybody. And so we kind of took things from there and see how it got along. Is there anything else to mention?
No, I think we could expand on the membership and how that works, because for us there is no real separation between. Does it work? Can anyone hear me better when I hold this closer? I feel like.
It's for the recording.
Okay,
I was also like, where's my voice going?
So
we're live streaming, Julia.
So there is no clear separation between couriers and administrators. We operate according to the idea that people will learn in their own time all parts of running the cooperative, and this is very key because of resiliency as well. We find that not having been able to offer full-time work to any of us, some people move on in life, and in order for the cooperative to maintain itself, everyone needs to be able to operate in all sectors. And so far, this has worked for us. I feel like a lot of the grounding principles that were set up by the 3 of you, the original founders, that I came into the co-op, like there was this pre-existing structure, and it hasn't really changed much. We continuously decide to maintain this like lack of hierarchy between administrative work and courier work, and also this lack of separation. In practice, there are some informal knowledge differentials that are very hard to break down and that require a lot of work. So that's a process. But we usually meet up once a week, and that's where most of the decision making takes place. Meetings are quite different for us because we are just 4 people, so much easier to take decisions, although of course there are differences, and then we try to operate by consensus because of the low number of people, which still not necessarily is the easiest form of decision making, because some decisions might take a really long time to come into place if there are some doubts or not everyone is on board. So maybe not necessarily time efficient, but it keeps us close and it keeps us united as a cooperative, we find. So we try to delegate most of the decision making that doesn't involve everyone in the cooperative, let's say, that doesn't involve larger questions to the individuals who are working during the day, for example, or to the groups working during the day. So we want to enhance autonomy because that's what we didn't get working in gig economy types of jobs. I also came from the Foodora context, so yeah. And that's for us I think the biggest satisfaction. We are doing the dispatching as well as the couriering at the same time, so that is also quite different from BioExpressen, I think, where it requires some specific sets of skills to be able to ride and dispatch oneself, but it also affords a lot of freedom and a lot of, it enhances also the ability to collaborate when we are more than one person and we have to constantly know where the other person is and, organize together. So we are very thankful for that. And so far, it could be a goal in the future to have a person sitting in the office and dispatching, but I feel like we would also lose some of what we have now, which is the ability to become better dispatchers ourselves. Everyone is, in a sense, developing that skills, and that, that I think is valuable for us. Would you like to add something, Tiago?
No, I think I think you've said pretty much everything that needs to be said. I guess we'll discuss it afterwards.
And maybe about the process as well. The cooperative went through different stages, of course. It was growing quite steadily, also in a number of members over time. And then we encountered some difficulties in how quickly, not that quickly, but how quickly we grew, let's say. It became unsustainable with our workload, and we had to scale down. And some of the older members who had been there for a long time left. So in the last year and a half, the cooperative has gone through a new phase of only one older member being present and 3 people who had virtually no courier experience. So it's been both a binding moment, going through these struggles, but also quite challenging in terms of knowledge sharing. And so it's a bit of a special last year and a half that we've been having where, the progress for us has not been steady. That's also an aspect, I would say.
Yeah, never has been steady.
Never say. Yeah.
That resonates with me. But does anyone have any questions?
Yeah.
There's a question.
A mí lo que me interesaría saber en esto de la horizontalidad es si cobran todos lo mismo a pesar de las diferentes responsabilidades que pueda haber, ¿no? Y evidentemente las horas de trabajo, tanto en una como en las diferentes cooperativas.
For us, 1 hour of labor, regardless of which activity it covers, is remunerated in the same way. So
Sí.
there is complete equality in that sense.
Más allá de las responsabilidades que haya. O sea, se paga por hora y esto.
Yeah.
One of the core values was at the beginning that all value should be, or all work should be valued equally, regardless of what you do. We wanted to have like horizontality of the mentality of work as well. You know, like work is work. It doesn't matter if you're behind a computer or if you're on top of the bike. We've had discussions in the past where we considered changing it. This is many years ago, but there was a period when, and this has always been a factor, this thing of office work versus the work on the streets. It's usually the fact that office work is done by a smaller amount of people because it takes a lot more knowledge. It's usually people who have more time in the co-op, so they kind of know how things work on that side. And then there's been periods where office work just doesn't get done because maybe the person who's been there longer feels like it's too much. They need to take a step back, but then there's no one who can step up. And so we were discussing, you know, how can we compensate it differently, perhaps, to encourage it. But yeah, that got shut down gratefully, I think. So yeah, it's something that we've had since the beginning.
Gracias.
It was interesting hearing you talk about free labor as well, because for us there is still some hours that go unpaid, and there is still actually the administrative tasks often are the ones that fall outside of the courier working hours. So yeah, we are still not there where we can pay every minute of our labor. Yeah. It's a reality.
Makes sense.
Same question then for Bergspressen. Are you all full-time working? Are you having other stuff? Maybe you are full-time working, but with a smaller hour contract because you can't afford to pay all hours, and like where are you on that matter?
Yeah, so full disclosure, I left about a year ago, so that's good to point out as well. Yeah, I have 2 kids now, and I was studying, and it became a bit too much, so I took a step back. But no, we've never had someone work full-time. We've had it at the very beginning when it was just the founders. Obviously, then it's, you know, so then
I was working 4 days a week. That
Yeah?
was as full time as we got.
There
Yeah,
you go. So yeah, we've had people in the past work full time, but I think every time we're in a situation where the economy is a bit difficult, what we try and get express to people and people who come in as well is like, we don't want to push full time on you, you know. So be aware that like it's difficult to make it work full time, and I think it's something we always try and balance. But yeah, it's not something that we shy away from. I guess people, if they want to, they can. But it's not easy. Yeah.
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 Any other questions for AK? If not, then we can pass the mic to Nikolai.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about NBD from.
Sure. I will try. So we came 4 guys here, and now it's only me. 2 of them are sleeping, and Thomas had to go home. But I'll try and talk a little bit about us. We are No Bad Days from Aarhus. We're quite similar to you guys, I must say. Aarhus is a small town, 2nd largest in Denmark. It's like 350,000 people living there. No Bad Days was established in 5 years ago by me. And at that point, I just been talking for many years about being a bike messenger. And I came to a point in my life where I was between jobs, and I thought, okay, if you want to do this, it's now or never. So, and it came out of a desire because I like to bike. So I thought, can I make money while using my bicycle? So I started up in 2020, and I started up with 2 other guys, and they sort of found other stuff to do. So the first many years I was alone, but I came into CoopCycle after half a year. And therefore, the whole plan all the time was to create a cooperative, or in Denmark we call it an AMBA. Yeah. It's an old company structure in Denmark, but it's really not used very much. So nobody knows anything about it. It's really difficult to create, and you can't really get any help. So it's been a long process creating this AMBA or co-op, but we succeeded doing this last year with 4 owners or members, because we don't actually own anything. So yeah, as said, we are 4 owners, and then we have 3 couriers that just bike. And when you have ridden a bike or worked for us for 3 months, you can become a member or an owner as well. And the way it works is that we say you come in naked and you leave naked. So you don't have to put any money. You're just part of it, and when you leave, you don't get anything. So that's the way the company works. Yeah. I don't know if you have seen our cap, but there's like we have like a cap. Some of you got one last year. We have, when you flip the top, it's like it says chef or boss, and that's the meaning is like we can all be the boss. So it's like you guys. It's totally flat structure. Everybody's equal. Everybody gets paid the same. If you have something to suggest or put up, you are more than welcome. That's sort of the culture we try to give everybody, yeah, when they join our company. So it's very trust-based, and we trust each other. And this trust is built through conversation and shared experiences. Every last Sunday of the month, we go always for a bikepacking trip. So and the people who have time joins, and the people who doesn't have time joins next time. So and that works as a team building thing where we learn each other even better, and it helps create a shared platform for working towards our purpose, which is the most important thing for us, because we're a purpose-driven company. So the most important thing for us is always to remember our purpose, and as long as we work towards the purpose, we trust that people can make the right decisions to get there. Yeah.
Can I ask something?
You can ask everything, yeah.
What's your purpose?
Our purpose is to, and I'm probably, it's difficult for me to translate, but our purpose is to get more get more people cycling and promoting cycling culture. Yeah, so it's pretty wide. Yeah, but and enjoy cycling. Yeah, so it's a pretty wide purpose, but that is that is what we're working towards. Yeah, I can say that our company is split in 2 parts. So we have last mile part, and then we also last year became an Omnium dealer. So we also sell Omniums and have a place to maintain Omniums. Yeah.
That's makes
that reminds me, Nikolai, about a question that I had about like diversification, because NBD is an example, and so is the co-op from Budapest, who are here, that has like a really interesting diversification process going on, where you are not just a courier co-op, but also like bike mechanics, or in your case, you sell cargo bikes, and you're also like a cycling advocacy organization. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, that's right. And also we are placed in something called Sydhavnen in Aarhus, which is a place which is an old butchery where they slaughtered cows in the middle of the town. And it's a very creative area. It's like Kødbyen, where we were yesterday, but it's more rough, and there's not restaurants and stuff, but there's a lot of musicians and a lot of places they record and make music. And the place we share with 4 other people. So it's Nobad Days and then 4 other people shared. And also in the back of our room, there's like, we have 5 bands coming at nighttime. So practicing, yeah. And then, so on Wednesdays we have a meeting with the house, like a shared meeting where we check in and find out. And on Fridays we have meetings in the No Bad Days. Yeah. And every year we have a festival in August. And we have a bar there, and we make food, and we have a scene. So there's also a lot of stuff that we're together to organize and to make happen. Yeah. So that's pretty nice. That also gives togetherness, which is unique.
Thiago? Yeah, no, you mentioned that you have a structure called Ambe?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think it's something that's really interesting for them to know as well. That in Sweden, for example, we don't really have a cooperative structure within the legal framework for businesses. So the most common companies are an AB, which is like with actions, with shares, you know, or you have an ekonomisförening, which is what AK is. And that's an economic organization. And the definition there is basically a company which looks to the economic interest of its members. There's no shares, but yeah, a cooperative per se doesn't exist. There are many cooperatives in Sweden. So like the biggest dairy, I think it started in Denmark actually, but the biggest dairy company, Arla, is like a huge cooperative. But it's a shared, or with shares, so it's an AB. Yeah, and I guess my question is, what is this? It sounds fascinating, because it's something that we ran into maybe halfway through the history, where we started to realize, like, okay, we operate internally as a cooperative, but externally we're seen as an economic organization with a board where there's the chairman, and then there are the board members, and then there's various other, you know, traditional roles like treasurer, and so on. And there was one point where we actually went to the anarchist union in Malmö, and we said, guys, can you help us? How do we remove the hierarchy from the legal framework, you know? So yeah, I guess that's my question. What is it?
It was impossible.
And yeah, they said, yeah, we don't know what to do. So we still have the chairman, and one approach we had for many years is we rotate the chairman. Yeah, it's also because if you want to take benefits from the state, if you're a member of the company on the board, it also limits your ability to, because you're no longer seen as an employee necessarily. You're seen as someone who's, you know. Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit difficult to tread that line. I guess it's interesting for the European context, where I think there are cooperative structures legally. Yeah, sorry, I'll let you answer the question.
Yeah, I can try. I'm not really an expert in this AMBA, but it's right that AMBA is one of the oldest company forms in Denmark. It's Arla is an AMBA.
Okay.
So it's like a farmer who owns a part of the bigger company, which is Arla. So it's actually the farmers that owns Arla. Yeah. And they have shares, so that's what it is. Yeah, and then in Denmark you can write your own or consensus, so you can decide how you want your cooperative or AMBA to be. Like, do you want 1%, 2%, 0%? The ownership you can define yourself. You just need to write it down, and it needs to be approved by the tax authorities and the government in Denmark, and that's quite a long process to get approved. But when you're approved, then it's a pretty nice way of running a company. Yeah. I would say that from the beginning, my idea was to create a job that I really liked, and a workspace that I really felt comfortable in. And I think we managed to do this from the beginning, and it hasn't really changed going from not being a cooperative to being a cooperative or AMBA, but because the whole idea was there from the beginning, the way we structure ourselves was the same, has been the same all the way, but now it's just formalized, so that's really nice. Yeah.
So before you said that no one put money to get in the AMBA, and you don't get anything when you go out. So my question is, from where do you have the money to run a project? Because all of us, we have to do, or maybe crowdfunding, or in Spain and in Italy, you can gather all your unemployed money when you end a job, and then you can gather that money to start a project, but it's still your money. So my question is, maybe government helps, or I don't know.
No, in the beginning it was just hard work for me. I didn't get paid. I worked a lot. I took out very low salary. So that sort of funded the whole situation. So I built it up from nothing, and then we started actually, I guess last year we started making money. So now it's we are more economically based, and I've got a little bit out.
Yeah.
Because I sold my bike. I bought the bikes. I sold them to the AMBA. So it's just been hard work, and me living off a little bit of savings, having a good girlfriend who had a good job. We didn't get anything from anywhere, but now it's more solid. Yeah, and we
It's worth mentioning as well, in Sweden, for example, there's no such thing as the minimum wage. So the government doesn't impose a wage. I think that's very different in the rest of Europe. So that was one benefit, because the beginning for AK was the same. We had no money. We had an investment from a friend, which I think totaled to a few thousand crowns. So it was enough to buy the first bike, basically. And then from then it was entirely what we made. We either paid or we used to build the company. And the fact that there's no minimum salary kind of allows for that to happen, because the way it works in Sweden is you have what they call collective bargaining agreements between unions and companies. And then the irony there is that being of a more anarcho-syndicalist tradition, they typically don't sign collective bargaining agreements because the idea with a company like ours is that we have our own collective bargaining internally. So yeah, it's something that AK doesn't have either. But yeah, I think it's a similar experience we had, and I guess it's a very different context to start a company in. Yeah.
Can I ask something? But so the bicycles are collectivized? Like, they are owned by the cooperative and everyone can use them, or do people need to bring their own equipment to work? How does it work?
The bicycles are owned by the AMBA, yeah. So the company provides bicycles and yeah, clothes and stuff like that, yeah. If you want to bring your own bike, you can do that. A lot of us have our own Omniums, so, and some of us want to ride it because, yeah. So, and then if something breaks, we replace it or help replace it. So, yeah. But now we have 4 bikes owned by the company. Yeah.
Just a question about you talked about diversification. It's more a question for all of you, even if you already respond a bit, Nicolas. But what is your economic model, and did you thought about diversification, or for example in Boexpressen you are lots of people, so you probably have a lot of skills in her house, and did you thought about selling them away to your clients or to another person, or what kind of job do you have, like last mile or local commerce, B2B, and or food delivery, as you thought at the beginning?
I can start because the answer is really brief because it's also something that has not been at the forefront of our mind at Boexpressen, like something that I only learned recently when I attended like another cooperative event, was like people were talking about their legs and the 3 legs principle, and that your co-op should probably rest on 3 legs in case one of the 3 legs gets taken out from under you. And Boexpressen, we just rest on one really big leg, which is express. Yeah, we do express bike messenger work, full stop, and that's probably not a very secure leg to stand on, right? Whereas MBD have this kind of interesting diversification model. I don't know if AK has any other kind of leg to stand on.
Yeah, we do business-to-business deliveries and some private deliveries as well. Catering, post, furniture, so quite different, quite varied. And we have some larger contracts, and then also the unexpected express deliveries that come in from irregular customers. So in that way, we are relatively stable in our small world, I would say. Would you like to add something about it?
I don't know. Yeah, of course, the Omnium thing was our friend Anders. He had the dealership for many years, and he closed his shop, which we shared with him. He was also one of the first guys I talked about in the beginning. And then we were so lucky that we could take over the dealership last year from him. Omnium agreed, and it helped us a lot because, yeah, it's selling a bike is a bit more profitable than bringing out bread. So it's. But also you get a lot of work, but it's nice seeing people right away on their new Omniums and coming back and joining for a trip, and so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Add something to this, like something that I find like that really resonates with me, and that I find super inspiring, specifically about No Bad Days, is this kind of like milieu, this environment that the co-op grew out of, right? Like you mentioned, your office is in a music venue / rehearsal space, and you as individuals are like creative, artistic individuals, right? And I think this is something that resonates with us as a community of bike messengers. We're not first and foremost logisticians or like kind of necessarily hard-nosed, business-minded individuals. We are like creators and artists and people who find like meaning in a kind of community-driven approach. And I think that's kind of something that should always steer the way that we run the cooperative. And I'm personally super inspired by the No Bad Days ethos. Like it's there in the name, right? It's kind of a mindset and a kind of a culture that you foster. And you're also like, being a bike dealership is like, to me, it's like kind of a no-brainer, like the ultimate bike salesperson and advocate for selling a specific type of cargo bike is a bike messenger, right? Like I think we should take inspiration from that and kind of go forward with this idea of like being the ultimate like experts on on the tool that we use to do our job. I think that's super cool to be an omniman dealer.
Just the last thing to add is that at when we started, it was as I said, the idea was to create a job we really like, and one of the things we really like is not to work all the time. So we actually choose not to work full time. That also. Maybe we don't have enough work as well for full time, but if we were only 2 or 3, yeah, sure we could. But we also like having more people around us. So not working full time allows us to hire in more people, which is nice. I know a lot of you saw Thomas. He left, the guy with the bald hair, and he's a jazz musician, so he plays jazz on the side, right? And Marco also plays music, and we have another guy who's not here, Jacob. He's the last one of the owners or members, and he studies at the music conservatory in Aarhus. So he's like also playing music. So they all supply their work as a bike messenger with other stuff, so that's why it's so yeah, and that's very giving for the company. Yeah.
I think it's actually not a question, but since I know the guys from No Bad Days better and better, and yesterday evening I had a longer chat with Marco, what I found extremely enriching and inspiring was the fact that he said, when I have nothing to do, that's when I also go to No Bad Days to see my friends. And that's a very strong statement how tight-knit and how bonded you are. It's a fantastic achievement, I find. Yeah.
I have a question. So from what I understand at Bo Expressen, you mainly do express, and they managed to get a workspace that they love. In my co-op, we dream about doing express all the time and not having to carry a cargo all day long. And I think a lot of co-op in France are going towards that kind of job, like a workload with like not actually cycling. What kind of stuff what kind of express do you get? Because in France currently, we mainly get like last mile or like big things.
Yeah, I think in BX, like the really good, the top tier clients, like the best clients to get, is like medical work, whether that is like pharmacy work or hospital lab samples. One of our biggest clients and favorite clients is the zoo. We deliver all the obscure animal blood and piss to laboratories every day. It's a weird one, but it's a good one. And there's a big fashion industry in Copenhagen, so a lot of like PR and fashion work is like the best express work. And because the fashion industry is like, everything is down to the wire, like deadline wise, like everything had to be there yesterday, and there's a lot of chaotic kind of production deadlines that aren't being met, etc. And a lot of bureaucracy, like Denmark is super digitalized, but somehow there's still a lot of, it's the benefit of living in a capital city. You have hundreds of embassies and consulates that still do stamps, pen and paper, signatures. Architects still send drawings, like big rolls, and the film industry still sends like 10, 15 terabyte hard disks. So film production, and then photography studios that do location shoots. We move all their equipment, like all their camera equipment, all their lighting rigs, all their catering for their location shoots and film shoots and things like this. These are some of the best ones.
When you sell an express course, how much you sell it more or less?
And what, sorry?
When you sell an express course,
oh yeah,
how much do you sell it?
Like the minimum price is like 15 euros, like start price, and there's a kilometer fee, and then there's it's a 3 dimensions of
Yes.
pricing: size, urgency, and distance. Thank you. Yeah, so exponentially growing based on those parameters. So like a €1 per kilometer.
Okay, so more or less you add 15 euros when it's an express.
Yeah, but like a big, like a large, like 6 moving boxes that need to go across town, like right now will cost you like 10 times that.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas like a little envelope that needs to go down the street before the end of the day, it will cost you 10 euros.
Okay.
How do you fix your bikes? You do it, or you externalize it, or I don't know. Maybe someone in the cooperative is very skilled on the bicycle mechanic.
Should I answer? So fixing bikes is one of the biggest challenges at AK, I think. Again, going to this idea of horizontality and everyone learning skills. Because I mean, at the root of it, it's like we want to have dignity in the work, and then a kind of offshoot of that is that we want people to be able to develop themselves as people, as workers, skills, and so on. So we've always had it in-house, servicing the bikes, and so then it very much depends the phase that we're going through, how it works, but it is all internal. We have one bike shop in Malmö that we're friends with, and we have like back and forth discussed having some sort of a scheme before. But
But it works. But it works.
It works. Yeah, it's very challenging, but it works. Yeah. I was the first member to decide to get my own Omnium, and I started riding on my own because I felt like I was more comfortable riding on a bike that was serviced by me, and but it's and my size, but it's always been internal, and it does work. The bikes that we bought at the beginning are still running now. Yeah, there's phases where it's very close to throwing it in the canal, but then there are phases where it's the opposite. So yeah, I don't know if you want to add something. We call you? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a big thing fixing bikes, isn't it? It's an ongoing process. We are lucky that we are like 4 guys who know how to fix them, and then we have Marco, who is better than all of us doing it. So yeah, that's nice. So he can fix most of our bikes. So that's cool. Also, we do like courses. So we like once a month or once every second month we make like a bike kitchen thing for everybody where you can do the basics. Yeah. So if you're out there with a flat tire, you know what to do or who to call.
Yeah, luckily there's a couple of several professionally trained bike mechanics in BX, and they have formal maintenance shifts that are scheduled, 3 hours a week, etc., etc. And then the loaner bike users. We only have 4 loaner bikes. Everyone else rides their own bike. For me, I think about the Thomas analogy. He's a jazz musician, right? And it would be unthinkable for him to share a sax or whatever his instrument is, right? For me, I think we are practitioners of our job, and the bike is my instrument. So I want to use my own bike. I want to own my own bike and invest in that, right? But the loaner bikes, the individuals who use those, the members who use those loaner bikes, they have to maintain them, they have to look after them, and they have to keep them running smoothly.
So if you're using your bike to work, then you fix your bike with your money?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's my choice, yeah, individual choice. Except for some parts, the co-op provides, brake pads and tubes and
in La Pájara, when I was working in Madrid, we had 10 euros per month per person. Even if it was our bike, then you can accumulate them, and in some point you can do something. But it's just an idea.
Should we try and wrap up with some rounding off questions? Because it's now maybe a last question from the back.
Hi, so it's Paul from Tricargo. So I'm working as rider and mechanic, and I have a more technical question with the bike maintenance. So there are 3 Nordic organisations there, 2 similar size, which are quite small, and 1 a bit larger. So I just wanted to ask do you do planned maintenance checks, so preventative maintenance, which is scheduled, or do you just respond to defects? Reactive,
Yeah, it's a good question.
Fire brigade.
It's a good question. Yeah, fire brigade. Yeah, it's a good question because I think we learned the hard way that you can't just be the fire brigade in a mechanic sense. You need to do preventative. So hence the scheduled maintenance shifts.
Yeah.
But there's also the ad hoc nature. When you use a loaner bike, you need to be the one who does the safety check before and after you've used it, right? And it's kind of a built-in responsibility mindset that we foster. So there's a series of guidelines. There's basically a 10-point check that you do before and after you use the loaner bike.
Okay, like pre-flight check.
Pre-flight check.
Pre-flight check.
Yeah.
I see smiles from the other 2 organisations when I ask the question, so I'm curious at that end of the table.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. In recent times, it's been a lot of fire brigade, but I would say that the positive part of it is that since we don't have scheduled maintenance shift done by few people, all of the co-op is learning about bike maintenance. People are at different levels, and they get out of the comfort zone. We get out of the comfort zone all the time, and we learn a lot. So, yeah, we have tried with scheduled maintenance shift, but for us, because it's difficult to pay for extra shifts apart from what is already existing, we have to either fit them during our shift or find some time after work. So it's a balance of that. But
the fact that the 2 bikes, now there's 3 bikes, they're always being used. So when we did have scheduled shifts, they were on the weekend. So there was that factor as well. Who wants to do a shift on the weekend? But yeah, fire brigade for sure.
Yeah, that's it's the same. We're fire brigading, like, and our bikes are running all the time because we drive all days, all 7 days a week. So, but recently we just gave Marco time 3 days a week to only work on the bikes. So I think it's gonna shift to some better situation. I hope.
Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the honesty.
So yeah, hopefully that gave a little bit of a Nordic context, and I think you'll probably have more questions that you can reach out over lunch and dinner. Approach us and we can embrace. Should we swiftly move on to the next point then, Alban? What's next?
Next is coffee break.
Coffee break. Hell yeah. Let's go.